Treatise on Occult Medicine and Practical Magic by Samael Aun Weor. This book, which you have in your hands, entitled Treatise on Occult Medicine and Practical Magic, has been delivered as a 1977-1978 Christmas message. This message was proofed by the author, who later added many formulae of high magic, theurgy, occult botany, thaumaturgy, elementotherapy, esoteric medicine, Nahualism, etc. In reality, we truly have written this book for those individuals who are presently weary of the many pseudo-occultist and pseudo-esoteric theories. It is written for those who want to enter into the internal worlds immediately. It is written for those who now yearn to enter into the laboratorium of nature. Certainly, it is very painful for us to see people wasting their time miserably. We want practical magicians, true occultists, and not simple charlatans. Authentic Gnostic physicians are needed, true magicians and botanists, practical people in medicine and magical matters. Samael Aun Weor. Introduction. The hour of great decisions has arrived, and there is no time to waste. We are assisting in this last moment of agony of this caducous and degenerated race. The world has covered itself with a horrifying darkness. Painful howls escape from the cavernous abyss. The tempest of exclusiveness has burst, and the ray of justice is terribly shining within the august immensity of thought. The great whore, humanity, has been sentenced by the ineffable gods, and now it is falling into the fathomless abyss. The Antichrist, or the official science, dressed in purple, is seated on a throne of blasphemies, and as a voracious hyena is devouring human beings, without pity and without rest. The hour of great decisions has arrived. In compact and abundant lines of light and glory, the venerated heroes of wisdom are ready to fight the final battle against the false apostles of medicine. The fanaticized forces of the official science have been divided into innumerable sects, which mutually combat each other. The burial grounds which keep the sacred remnants of beloved relatives are the only mute witnesses of this quarrel. The great whore, humanity, has been deadly wounded. A breath of war escapes from the bottom of the abyss. It is an omen of disgrace. The official science of allopathy, which was satirized from the time of Molière until the time of Bernard Shaw, has declared itself infallible, and its false pontificates are persecuting the apostles of God. The hour of great determinations has arrived, because the innumerable medical sects, which are fanaticized by their exclusivistic leaders, have been engaged in a desperate and dishonorable fight to the death. The battlefield is filled with flags. Psychiatrists, allopaths, homeopaths, botanists, naturalists, and biochemists are in combat. They repel each other on this desolate field of human via crucis. Has, perhaps, the famous Wassermann syphilographon resolved the problem of syphilis? What specific results have the systems of Knipe, Keeles, and Kuhn had on the field of medicine for this great orphan, humanity? Has the problem of leprosy or tuberculosis been somewhat solved at least? What did happen with the experiments of Hahnemann, Arid, Schussler? Perchance, did these experiments cure the human beings from typhus and variola? What about you, ingenuous botanists, who have profaned the plant kingdom by converting it into products of pharmacy? Did you achieve the decimation of the sicknesses of humanity? Stubborn botanists, charlatans, and ignorant deceivers, how is it that you assassinate the medicinal plants in order to cure with their remains? Do you not realize that the plants are the physical bodies of the elemental creatures of nature? Do you not understand that no plant or animal cadaver can cure? Are you believing that life can be animated with dead substances? Do you not know, botanical researcher, that it is not the plant which cures, but it is the elemental of the plant which does so, and that each plant is the physical body of a creature of nature? Listen to me. Until now, you have done nothing else but profane plants as well as animal and human cadavers. So tell me, which one of you knows how to command life? Which one of you botanists, vivisectionists of plants, knows in depth the occultism of plants? Which one of you knows how to handle the elementals of plants? Simply, each plant organism is the body of an elemental of nature. Therefore, it is not the plant that cures. It is the elemental of the plant, its mantras, and the healing, which is performed incessantly, that cures. Whosoever wants to officiate in the great temple of wisdom has to know how to command the elemental creatures of the plants. The one who wants to command life has to do the same thing. The elemental of a plant furiously reacts against the herbalist who tears its physical body. Therefore, this wounded elemental not only does not cure, but moreover, it harms, because the vitality of the plant is psychologically altered with the anger or with the terror inflicted upon it. The elemental of each plant has its own ritual, mantras, and its hours, in order to deliver itself to the doctor, who knows how to command it with love and impose upon it with tenderness. The eminent master Paracelsus has expressed in his Fundamento Sapientia the following: there are two types of knowledge. There is one science and one medical wisdom. The animal comprehension belongs to the animal man, but the comprehension of divine mysteries belongs to the Spirit of God white in him. While medical science is inventing certified medications, which are incessantly changing as the fashion of women, there exists a very ancient medical wisdom that has its origin upon the first foundations of the world and that has never changed its formulae. Divine wisdom is preserved in sanctuaries which are far away from this false, materialistic civilization. This medical wisdom is zealously guarded by the masters of wisdom in secret places, which are inaccessible to the merchants of the temple. This archaic medical wisdom can cure, with exact formulae, all sicknesses, even the so-called incurable ones. Leprosy, syphilis, and cancer become as insignificant as a child's game before the tremendous power of the Gnostic doctor who commands life. Gnosis is the name of this ancient medical wisdom, which from the dawn of creation has never changed its formulae, because these formulae are exact as the Pythagorean tablets. In these formulae, science, mysticism, and royal art are in communion within a divine connubule. These formulae have their foundation in elementotherapy, which is the royal art of nature that teaches us how to handle the elemental creatures of plants. These elementals were known in ancient times by such names as dryads, hamadryads, and fauns. These plant elementals that are commanded by the Gnostic doctor are the Duci of St. Augustine, the fairies of the Middle Ages, the Doer Oi of the Gaels, the Groven Maidens of the Irish, and the Anime of the wise Gnostic brothers, who are our brethren Indians from the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta, Colombia. The eminent master Paracelsus gives the name of sylvesters to the elementals of the forests and nymphs to those of aquatic plants. The holy symbology of plants is found broadly exposed in the sacred books of all ancient religions. It is enough for us to remember the tree of the science of good and evil from the Garden of Eden, which is a tremendous symbol of the sexual force, within which is found the redemption or condemnation of the human being. The Sephirotic tree of the Kabbalah and the Aswata, or sacred fig tree, are symbols of divine wisdom. Zoroaster represented the nervous system and the liquid system of human beings by the Hyona of the Mazdaists. Other symbols are the Zampoon of Tibet and the Yggdrasil, the Pheridides oak of the ancient Celtics. All of the ancient religions depict their founders acquiring wisdom under a tree. This is how we see the great Gautama, the Buddha Amitabha, who still lives in ancient India, achieving illumination beneath the Bodhi tree. Christ is an exception to this rule, since Christ is the very same wisdom. He is the solar logos, whose physical body is the sun. Thus, Christ walks with his sun in the same way as the human souls walk with their bodies of flesh and bones. Christ is the light of the sun. Therefore, the light of the sun is the light of Christ. The light of the sun is a Christonic substance which makes the plants grow and the seeds sprout. Thus, within the compact hardness of the grain, the substance of the solar logos remains enclosed, and it is what permits the plant to reproduce itself constantly, with this glorious, hardy, and active life. Folklore, the history of magic and witchcraft, proven stories of witchcraft, assassinations, and deaths from far distances, are only possible by commanding the elemental of plants. The miraculous healings from a distance of which the sacred books talk about are performed by the Gnostic doctor by means of the elementals of plants. This science that I baptize with the name of elementotherapy, the royal art of medical wisdom, is as ancient as the world. One cannot be a doctor without being a magician, nor can one be a magician without being a doctor. The herbalist and the allopathic doctor are identical in the sense that they only study the physical body of living beings. The Gnostic doctor studies the human being and the plant in their triple aspect of body, soul, and spirit. The Gnostic doctor treats plants the same way he treats human beings. The Gnostic therapeutics are mystical, symbolical, and alchemical. There are two types of angels: innocent angels and virtuous angels. The innocent angels are the elementals of plants, and the virtuous angels are perfect human beings. In the glorious India of the rishis, there is not a town that is lacking of its magical tree, whose elemental genie the population renders cult to. The Hellenic traditions sustain that each jungle has its own genie, and each tree its nymph. It is not rare to see sacred trees upon the Nilgiris, which have graphics on their trunks that are secret figures in vermilion and blue, and at their foot some stones painted in red. These sacred trees are places for sacrifices and praying. Renines of animals are found there, also curls of hair, which were offered by the sick and possessed people as an action of thanksgiving to the elemental genie who cured them. The elemental genii of these trees are named munisporams by these people. Commonly, these trees belong to the family of the ilex. Sometimes these trees belong to the family of the wild ciname, and also to the family which is known by the name of eugenic. Interesting testimonies of some wise men appear in E. Boskowitz's original book. They asseverate what the indigenous tribes of America have known throughout millions of years, which is that the plants have soul, life, and sensibility similar to that of human beings. In his book, Botanical Garden, Erasmo Darwin states that the plant has a soul. We have to remember that before the false lights of this modern civilization came to appear in this world, such eminent men as Democritus, Anaxagoras, and Empedocles sustained the same thesis. In more recent epochs, there are some who sustain that the movements of the roots are willful. Vrolik, Hedwig, Bonnet, Ludwig, F. ed. Smith affirm that the plant is susceptible to diverse sensations and that it knows happiness. Finally, the sage Theodorus Fechner wrote a book entitled Nana oder Uha, Das Lenleben der Pflanzen, within which he sufficiently proves that plants have souls. What moves us Gnostics into compassion is that only now comes the assertion about the souls of plants into these scientists' mind, like a very new thesis. Gnosticism knew this from the very birth of the world, and it also known by any humble, simple Indian from the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta, Colombia. The knotweed plant is joyous and moves its branches when the wise person, who knows how to love it, approaches it. The garden poppy, opium poppy, before being touched by the Gnostic doctor, withdraws its leaves and becomes lethargic several times. The elemental of the plant is joyous when we love it, and it is tilled with pain when we hurt it. The physical organism of the elementals of nature is analogous to that of humans. The respiration of the plants is performed by means of the tracheas of Malpighi, which are compounded by a cellular band, coiled in a spiral, that is endowed with contraction and expansion. In accordance with the scientific experiments of Calandrini, Duhamel, and Papin, the only foundation for the plant's life is the air. Berthelon sustained that the activity of the air in the sap of the plant is an analogous action to the one which happens in our blood. Experiments of Ingen Hus, Mohi, Garin, Hales, Theodorus de Sosa scientifically proved that the inferior side of the leaves is tilled with tiny little stomachic mouths. These are the organs for such respiration. The plants inhale carbonic anhydride and exhale oxygen. Their roots serve as a stomach, and they emulsify the elements of the earth with their semen by transforming them into ineffable arcanums of the substance of God. These arcanums are the instruments which the elementals of plants utilize in order to heal the sick person. However, this only occurs when the Gnostic doctor has been accomplished with the three indispensable requisites, which are love to God and to the neighbor, perfect ritual, and exact diagnosis. Elementotherapy teaches the Gnostic doctor how to command the elementals of plants. Elementotherapy is the wisdom which allows the Gnostic doctor to command life. Until now, the botanists have been maneuvering the forms, but not the very life of plants. This is because the life of the plants can only be handled by the Gnostic doctor, who has studied elementotherapy. The botanists are the vivisectionists of plants, the profane and profaners of the temple of nature. The allopaths only superficially know about the biomechanics of organic phenomena, but, regarding the vital foundation, they do not know anything. The allopaths, as well as the botanists, are skillful in handling cadaverous forms. From the physiological or pathological point of view, we can state with propriety that the allopaths are the vivisectionists of animals and human beings. The homeopaths, biochemists, and their kind are just the prodigal children of botany and allopathy. The hour of great decisions has arrived, and there is no time to waste. To cast out the merchants of the temple with the whip of willpower is what concerns divinized humans. The hour in which we have to liberate ourselves from every social bondage, schools and sects, religions and dogmas, has arrived in order to return with happiness into the temple of nature. We must revolutionize ourselves against every type of theosophy, pompous Rosicrucianism and fanatical spiritualism. We must burn the golden calf, money, abandon the cities, and return into the bosom of nature. When the human being will return into the bosom of his mother, nature, then she will give him bread, shelter, and wisdom. She, nature, will give him what no leader of political trickery can give him, which is bread, shelter, and wisdom. Now, we have to return to the sublime cosmic mysticism of the Blessed Mother of the world. The hour in which we must officiate within the temple of the Goddess Mother of the world has arrived. Thus, we will do so with the same wisdom that the human being knew in ancient Arcadia, when he had yet to trap himself within this urban life. We will call the archaic medical wisdom Eleniothecipi. This is the wisdom of the Gnostic doctors. These kind of doctors, the Gnostics, are named spirituals because they can command the spirits of herbs and roots. Thus they, the Gnostic doctors, force the spirits to give liberty to the sick people who they have pill into imprisonment. Just like the judge who places a prisoner in the iron trap, this judge is the doctor of this prisoner, because having the keys of the trap, he can close and open the lock at any time that he so pleases. Hippocrates is one of those who belong to these class of doctors. Parami, Prologo 3, Paracelsus. The illustrious German Gnostic doctor Franz Hartmann said, "The true doctor is not the result of scientific schools, but the one who became doctor through the light of divine wisdom itself." You, theologists who know nothing about God. You, doctors who ignore the medical science. You, anthropologists who do not know human nature in all of its manifestations. You, lawyers who do not have any feeling for righteousness, neither for justice. You, Christians who betray the Master in every moment. You, judges who have never judged your vices and defects. You, governors who have not learned how to govern your lower passions. You, priests who exploit the fanatical sects of the world. You, merchants who do not have respect, not even for the bread which Mother Nature gives to her children. Listen, all of you. You have prostituted everything with your filthy money. Woe to you and your children. Woe to the dwellers of the earth, because they will fall by the knife upon the sidewalks of all cities, and in the darkness of the abyss, they will only hear the painful lament and the gnashing of teeth. The official medicine has exploited human pain. When the human being separated himself from nature in order to imprison himself within this urban life, then he fell upon the hands of the tenebrous potencies. Thus, Lai learned the false science from the magicians of the darkness. It was then when he knew pain. Now, the human being has to return to the bosom of nature in order to recuperate the lost positions. Each elemental of nature represents certain powers of the blessed goddess mother of the world. Thus, whosoever knows how to handle the powers of nature, which are enclosed in each herb, in each root and each tree, is the only one who can be a true magician and doctor. Thought is a great force, yet everything is dual in creation. Thus, if we want to make perceptible any occult intention, a physical instrument, which serves as clothing for that idea, is necessary. This instrument is the plant, which corresponds to our intention. Only Lai, who knows the secret to command the elementals of plants, is the only one who can be a magician. The use of animal magnetism, the transmission of life, mumia, the transplantation of sicknesses, and other analogous things, which were wisely described by Paracelsus, Cornelius, Agrippa, are only possible for the Gnostic doctor who knows how to handle the elemental creatures of the plants. The transmission of thought becomes easy when one operates through the elementals of plants. As we have already stated, everything in nature is dual. Those very well-known systems of Marden, Atkinson, Mesmer, Paul Jago, and the pseudo-spiritualist schools will never teach the human being the wise use of the force of thought, because force and forces are something very joined in creation. Every mental wave has its exponent in a plant. In order for the mental waves to be crystallized, they must be revested with the occult powers of the plant, which corresponds to it. There is nothing in the universe that is not dual. If the athletes of concentration of thought do not know how to combine their mental waves with the powers of nature, which are enclosed within the plants, then they will lose their time miserably. While the human being does not return into the bosom of nature, his thoughts, as well as his life, will always be totally superficial and artificial, and therefore negative and iniquitous. The human being must abandon his false idols and temples of urban life and return into the bosom of the blessed Goddess Mother of the world. She will give you light, wisdom, power, and glory. The prodigal children will return into the temples of nature when they abandon their urban life and return into the bosom of the Goddess Nature. The temples of the Goddess Mother of the world, which are situated in the gorge of mountains and profound valleys, only await for the human being to knock at their doors in order to welcome him and to grant him love and wisdom, bread and shelter. These are the commandments of the Blessed One. Until now, beloved disciples, you have only heard comments about Oriental Tibet and of the holy masters who dwell there. Franz Hartmann comments to us about the masters of the occult temple of Bohemia, and Cromhella, Huiracocha, comments about the temple of Montserrat in Spain, and the temple of Chapultepec in Mexico. Yet, our beloved South America also has its majestic temples, even when no one has spoken about them. These are the temples of Goddess Nature. These are the temples of the sacred mysteries of the Mayan ray. Until now, you have heard comments about the Asiatic and European masters. Many spiritualist students would like to internally progress. However, they cannot because they have not found the path which belongs to them, as well as their ray and their own keynote, which must be in accordance with their blood and psyche. We must not forget that in South America, the blood of the American Indian predominates over everything. Thus, there are millions of human beings who belong to the Mayan ray. I'm going to talk about the masters of the Mayan ray. I'm going to unveil for the first time the veil which hides them. Calusuanga, the primeval god of light, the great master of the sun, has a storehouse of esoteric wisdom in the temple of Buritaca, headquarters of ancient wisdom, Atlantic coast. Cunchavito Muya, a powerful god. Nuestro Sayanqua, Nuestro Padre Sokul Mama Caso Biscunde Mama. Batunari La Saga Maria Pastora, a female master of wisdom. The god Quinmagua, this master is the god of tempests, who has power over the seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. The god Temblor is an innocent child who makes the earth tremble, and whose speaks for itself name means tremble in Spanish. These masters of the venerable White Lodge from the Mayan ray are the silent vigilantes of Latin America. The mountain of the Sierra Nevada from Santa Marta, Colombia, is another powerful and very ancient Tibet. Calusuanga, the primeval god of light, will joyfully admit into his mysteries the souls who are thirsty for the Mayan ray. The clue in order to enter into the temple of Calusuanga, the Mayan Indian master, is the following. The disciple will sit on a chair before a table. He will place his elbows on the table and will hold his head with his left hand. Meanwhile, he will perform magnetic passes, by passing his right hand over his head from the forehead to the neck, with the purpose of magnetizing himself. Thus, with force, he will thrust, with the magnetic passes, his astral body outwards, towards the temple of Buritaka, which is the headquarters of the ancient wisdom of the Mayan ray. The disciple will unite his willpower and imagination in vibrating harmony and will make the effort to fall asleep. He must feel, while utilizing his willpower and imagination, as if he was with the body of flesh and bones within the temple of Buritaka. He must pronounce with his thought the following mantras or magical words: Omnis bon igneus. These words are pronounced in succession, prolonging the sound of the vowels until falling asleep. A while later, after some time of practice, the disciple will go out of his physical body with his astral body, and Kalusuanga, the sublime master of the Mayan ray, will instruct him in his mysteries and teach him the medical wisdom. First of all, Kalusuanga tests the courage of the invoker. He appears gigantic and terrible in order to test the disciple. If the disciple is courageous, he will be instructed in the sacred science of the mamas. The Gnostic doctors of the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta cure syphilis in 15 days. They cure the last degree of leprosy in 9 precise months. They cure tuberculosis in 15 days. There exists no sickness that the Awakos mamas cannot cure. Therefore, they laugh at the science of the civilized ones of this 16th century. The mamas affirm that in order for this modern civilization to reach the degree of their Mayan culture, hundreds of years would have to pass. Upon the ice-covered summits of this Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta, there lives a powerful initiate sage, whose age is really indescribable. This great illuminated one is the President Mama of the government of the Ahuaco Indians. This President Mama has powers over creation in its entirety. He is profoundly venerated by all of the Indians of the whole Sierra Nevada. In his possession is an octahedron crystal upon a tripod, which reflects the images of all people who march in order to meet this venerable elder, no matter how distant they might be. The mamas diagnose sicknesses by placing a sphere of glass over the neck of the patient. In such a way, they examine the interior of the organism through it better than if using X-rays. They smile with disdain at the complicated mechanisms of official medical science. They diagnose the sickness of an ill person simply by placing the sphere of glass over the clothing of the ill one, even if the patient might be many distant miles away. Can any one of the modern scientists perform this? How interesting it would be if someone would postpone their university proficiency by making an effort to study Mayan medicine in the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta, Colombia. Tricksters are the outcome of intellectualism without spirituality, and these individuals have been and are the disgrace of this world. The Indian doctors cure, and many of their healings are instantaneous because they know about the proper managing of the elementals since very ancient times. There are also temples of light in Taganga and Gaira, Atlantic coast of Colombia. The great initiates of the Mayan ray dwell in all of those occult temples. The majestic temple of the Sierra Nevada of Santa Marta is the august sanctuary of the high initiates of La Sierra. Those temples are in Jinn state, that is, within the 4th dimension. They are the great cathedrals of nature, where the great sages of the snake dwell. The clue in order to travel in astral body in the form already described is given thanks to Kalusuanga, the powerful god, child of the 7 red seas and of the 7 rays of the sun. The disciples will go out of their physical bodies each time they wish to do so when they practice the clue. Thus, they will attend the temples of the Mayan ray in their astral bodies in order to receive instructions of medical wisdom. The High Mama initiates communicate themselves with the Mahatmyas from Tibet, and they know the plants of Oriental India in depth. The president of the Ahuaco Indians submerges himself into a mysterious vessel filled with a rare liquor. Then, when he comes out of it, his physical body is already within the astral plane. In this way, in a few instants, he transports himself with his physical body and all to wherever he wants. Nevertheless, these wise Indians are tremendously quiet and humble. Therefore, No civilized person will ever attain their secrets unless the person has become worthy and deserves to be received as a disciple. I have to give thanks in this book for the excellent data which Dionisito de la Cruz had the good deed of providing to me for my investigations about the Sierra Nevada. He is a resident of Finca Tierra Grata, which is located 20 kilometers from Fundación. I have also to give thanks to an Indian from the Bolivar state in Colombia for the data he provided for this book. The data was magnificent. I also present my thanks to the master Paracelsus, who inspected and corrected the original copy of this book, with the goal that this book will accomplish the solemn mission which has been assigned to it in the fixture Age of Aquarius. I also give thanks to the master Kalasuanga for his marvelous clue, which will especially allow those Latin American disciples who are with Aboriginal blood to put themselves in contact with the temples of mysteries of the Mayan Ray. There are portions of the Colombian territory where the Aboriginal blood is extremely opulent, as is occurring in the state of Bocaya, for instance. The disciples whose blood is markedly Indian could learn to depart in their astral bodies with the clue of the master Kalasuanga and to receive esoteric instruction in the temples of the Mayan Ray, which is the native ray of America. I also give thanks to the masters Moria, Kuthumi, Hippocrates and others for their cooperation in this solemn mission which has been entrusted to me. As well, I give thanks to my saintly guru, whose sacred name must not be uttered. I, Samael Aun Weor, the master of the Egyptian mysteries, am the great avatar of Aquarius, the initiator of the new era, the master of strength. The hour of great decisions has arrived, and there is no time to waste. We are assisting in this last moment of agony of this caducous and degenerated race. Now is the time for us to grasp the sword of justice in order to unmask the traitors and disconcert the tyrants. Samael Aun Weor,